The Eagles roster is stacked heading into 2024 with very few visible holes, but there is one area that has me and a lot of you guys concerned, and yet at the same time, I think the solution might be easier than we all realize. I'm Thomas Mott, this is the Thomas Mott Show. Now, if you're like me and you're super bored waiting for Eagles training camp to start, well, I guess I have some good news for you today, as the Birds training camp report day was finally announced, saying that Tuesday, July 23rd, will be the day every single player heads back to the NovaCare complex to kind of officially start the 2024 season. And honestly, that's only 5 weeks away, so thumbs up for training camp coming soon. A much closer thing to look forward to is Devontae Smith's celebrity softball game on the 29th, and for those of you wondering, we've not heard back from the winner of our meet and greet Devontae Smith ticket giveaway. That was TeefSPN, who won during our live stream last Wednesday. So, per the rules, Josh and I will pick a new winner on this coming Wednesday's live stream if we don't hear back from the winner from last week. So, if you want a chance to win the Devontae Smith meet and greet, literally meet Smitty, get a pick at a celebrity softball game, go ahead and tune into our live stream this coming Wednesday. Oh, and be subscribed to me, Josh, and why don't you just comment Smitty down below, just in case. Now, in other news, despite Twitter and local Philly media desperately trying to stoke the Hurts versus Sirianni flames of the weekend, the Eagles' made-up drama fiasco hit another roadblock for all the talking heads on the radio this weekend when A.J. Brown wished Nick Sirianni a happy birthday via his Instagram. Now, Hurts did not wish his head coach a public happy birthday, at least on his Instagram. I'm sure the press is going to love that. But the Birds QB1's massive contract extension did get a lot better over the weekend when the Jacksonville Jaguars announced a 5-year, $275 million extension with their star quarterback Trevor Lawrence. This makes Lawrence now the highest paid quarterback in the league, at least year by year, at $55 million, at least tied with Joe Burrow. That's still a whopping $4 million a year more than our quarterback Jalen Hurts. And while listen, I like Trevor Lawrence, maybe more than a lot of other people, his resume isn't exactly top 5 quarterback money worthy. I mean, head-to-head with Hurts over basically the same amount of games, Hurts dominates Lawrence's numbers in total win percentage, total yards, and almost 40 more touchdowns and way less interceptions. And while sure, stats aren't everything, Lawrence now only has 1 playoff win, that insane comeback versus the Chargers, compared to Hurts' 2, plus his incredible performance in Super Bowl 57. And while yes, quarterback contracts, they only go up, comparing Lawrence's contract to Hurts' contract continues to show that the Eagles have their superstar quarterback on a very good deal, meaning the Dallas Cowboys are going to continue to pay a lot more if they want to keep Dak Prescott. Now, if we switch gears to the Eagles' biggest flaw heading into 2024, there are technically a few places to look on the depth chart if you want to find one. Now, sure, learning Kellen Moore's new offense will probably create some sort of headache, at least early on, but you have a QB1, an RB1, a great offensive line, wide receivers galore, and a solid tight end group. Like, everybody on the offense should eventually figure things out. They're going to be stacked. The offense is not going to be a problem. Likewise, I think our secondary, it's got to be dramatically improved. I really think the Eagles, at least as currently constructed, have a top 5 secondary on paper. Need to see some games, but these guys are going to eat. And even the defensive line, I think, is much younger, yes, but they didn't necessarily lose talent. They just replaced aging veterans with younger, unproven players. Like Hassan Reddick is now being replaced with Bryce Huff. Very similar, a lot younger, a little more unproven. Likewise, Fletcher Cox, he's gone. He was getting up there in age. Replace him with Jalen Carter, and it feels like the Eagle defensive line has the potential to at least still be pretty solid. If you had to ask me, Thomas, like, where's the one concern you have for the Philadelphia Eagles heading into 2024 on the current depth chart, the current roster, I think we all can at least agree it's got to be at linebacker. And apparently, I'm not the only one. I mean, ESPN's Michael Clay ranked the Eagles as the 30th best linebacker group. That's 3rd worst in the entire NFL just the other day. And honestly, it's kind of a fair ranking. The Birds linebacker depth chart is full of a ton of question marks. I mean, I love Devin White's potential. Devin White did get benched in Tampa last season and was not that highly sought after in free agency this year. And while Eagle fans, including myself, are hoping we have the former Pro Bowl linebacker from the Bucs Super Bowl run, we might just have a washed-up shell of himself in Devin White, who continues to be historically terrible in run defense. His running mate appears to be Zack Baun, who no one really knew existed until the Birds signed him this offseason, and while we all thought he'd be like a depth edge rusher, he's now getting Christian Ellis-like treatment with the Eagles media during OTAs. Nakobe Dean, for instance, has never lived up to expectations. He cannot stay healthy on top of that, meaning he might be an even bigger question mark than White or Baun, and yet at the beginning of the offseason, he was supposed to be your LB1. And sure, I love the idea of Jeremiah Trotter Jr., but how great have rookie linebackers been in years past? Like, he's not a first-round draft pick. He's a fifth-round guy. His best hope really is to redshirt, learn, and maybe be a starter next year. And well, yes, I'm a lot more bullish on all of these players. I've said I think you're going to get a really good Devin White. I think Zack Baun is definitely a fan favorite of Vic Fangio's up to this point. I love the draft pick of Jeremiah Trotter Jr. You still have to say, and at least admit, if there is a flaw in this roster, it's got to be at linebacker. Enter, though, Vic Fangio. I really think Vic Fangio is the key to plugging the Birds' hole at their weakest position. Got to remember, Vic Fangio was brought in because he's got a ton of experience. I mean, his first defensive coordinator job was with the Panthers back in 1995, a year before I was even born. And since that first job with Carolina, he's been a defensive coordinator 7 times, I guess 8 now being with the Philadelphia Eagles, and has a history with really strong linebackers. I mean, he's worked with superstars like Ray Lewis on the Ravens in 2009. How about Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis with the Niners in the early 2010s? He's also been proven to find hidden gems like Denver's Josie Jewell, Chicago's Danny Trevathan, and of course the drafting and grooming of Roquan Smith. And now in Philadelphia, we gotta hope that Fangio's experience and ability to find linebackers will pay off. I mean, in our only Vic Fangio press conference like 4 weeks ago, he did seem to indicate that he likes the current group of backers in Philadelphia.
When you say linebacker, I think inside linebackers.
Yes,
Okay. I think they're off to a good start. You know, we've got Baun here who's played a little bit of inside linebacker in New Orleans. He really didn't play a whole lot of defense there, but he was inside some, more outside. We think he can play inside, and I have not seen anything so far that says otherwise. Obviously, we got Devin here from Tampa. You guys are well aware of him. He had a great career going, had a down year last year for whatever reason. You know, we hope to get him back to where he was. You know, Nakobe's on the mend from his injuries last year. Who am I forgetting here? Keep going.
You got, there's Trotter's
Trotter's got to come in and join the fray. Let's see what he has.
Birds.
And Birds, too. You know, he's been a veteran backup. He's in the hunt, too. So, you know, we don't have anybody established as per se an Eagle, but we've got guys to work with, and we're happy with the group so far.
Still, though, it's definitely going to be some work, and I think training camp is going to give us a really good look at just how good these linebackers actually are, although I think a very kind of unspoken part of Fangio's plan has got to be the inclusion of nickel players, especially Cooper DeJean, to maybe help out in the box. Fangio historically has talked about how using nickel cornerbacks more like linebackers is something he really, really likes to do. And you got to remember, the Birds did race up in round 2 of April's draft in order to get Cooper DeJean due to the fact that the Iowa DB's experience all over the Iowa secondary means he can plug and play in a bunch of different places: safety, nickel cornerback, and maybe even kind of a hybrid linebacker. And while I'm not saying that Cooper DeJean is going to play linebacker for the Eagles, like, don't get me wrong, he's going to be a DB, a secondary player. In certain nickel looks, you might have a scenario where only one linebacker is on the field, but they kind of treat Cooper DeJean as a nickel cornerback who can also tackle in the box, aka a second linebacker. Still, though, I do wonder, like, let's say the linebacker group is the weakest link on the defense. Is it going to matter in the end? I mean, every single NFL team has weak links. No team is necessarily perfect. The real question is, can your stronger areas help protect your weaker ones? I mean, last year the Birds were terrible at linebacker. I mean, the signing of Shaq Lawson didn't work out. Nicholas Morrow, Christian Ellis, Nakobe Dean got hurt. They were awful. But they also had a horrible secondary and a lackluster pass rush to boot. What happens if the Birds secondary and pass rush is vastly improved in 2024? Wouldn't that be enough to even overcome, say, subpar linebacker play? Pair that with an Eagle offense that's loaded and could put up a ton of points on team this year, and you could have a scenario where the Birds can score a bunch, still give up points, and yet win a bunch of games. Like, the Birds defense in 2022 wasn't perfect. They played well against bad teams, yes, but good offenses like Green Bay, Dallas, and Detroit put up a ton of points on them. The difference in those games, though, was that the Eagle offense dropped 38, 40, and 34 in those games, respectively. And so, yes, I think all eyes really need to be on the linebacker group in terms of watching battles and watching positions as we head towards training camp 5 weeks from now. But at the same time, even if they're either underachieving or overachieving, the overall outlook of the current Eagle defense, I think, is way higher than it's been really in a long time. And if Fangio is as advertised with all this experience and gets the most out of even his weakest players, the Eagle defense, I think, really has a chance to be a top 5 unit, even if the linebacker group is, 23rd best in the National Football League. Curious if you guys agree. Do you think linebacker is super weak? Do you think that I'm underrating it, overrating it? Let me know down below in the comment section. We got plenty more stuff happening the next couple of days and weeks, couple of fun shows, and maybe a fun interview planned later this week with an Eagles player. No guarantees yet. I'll let you know what that is a little bit later on. I'm Thomas Mott, though. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.